In typical Bethesda fashion, a bug in the graphics setting menu prevents you from directly locking the desired option and getting the best performance, so we'll need a workaround. Ladies and gentlemen, many people request I look at Fallout 4 on the Ryzen 5600G and its integrated Vega 7 GPU. So here we are. We will first look at the presets, low, medium and high at 1080p, so we have a point of reference, and then we'll try to get the best looks out of it. This will take 2 config edits, which I will show you how to do. On the low preset, we get between 38 and 44 FPS here, but the shadows are blocky, all the edges are jagged, the textures are undefined, and the fences look messy. It runs well, but we can do better. Moving on to the medium preset, we get a rather significant drop in FPS into the 31 to 35 FPS range. However, the shadows look significantly better, edges are no longer jagged, but textures aren't yet on the level I'd like them to be. The high preset chews up another 10% performance, we're in the 28 to 30 FPS range. What stands out most to me is the increase in texture quality here. It's especially noticeable on the character model, the walls, and the fences. These are my optimized settings. It looks medium to highish and performance is about as good as on the low preset. What kind of sorcery is this, you might ask? The textures and models are excellent, the shadows aren't blocky, and the fences look good. There are 2 settings that you can't turn off in the graphics menu: Godrays and Depth of Field. If you've seen my Skyrim Special Edition video, you may remember that we got a lot closer to the performance level of regular Skyrim by turning off Godrays. There is a setting for Godrays in the menu, but if you choose off, it won't apply it, and it will reset to low. We can fix this problem by editing an INI file. Go to your Documents folder, open My Games and Fallout 4. There are 3 INI files here: Fallout 4 INI, Fallout 4 Custom INI, and Fallout 4 Prefs INI. If there is no Fallout 4 Custom INI file, you can create it by starting Fallout 4 in windowed mode once. Open the file with the standard Windows notepad and add the following line. This command will disable Godrays when you launch the game, and because we've added it to the Fallout 4 custom INI file, this line will not be overwritten when we change our graphics settings. Disabling Godrays nets us about 7 to 8% performance over the low setting. Before we edit the Fallout 4 Prefs INI file, we must first deal with the settings in the startup menu, because when we make changes in the menu, it will rewrite the file and our edits will be lost. Start by putting it into the low preset. Then, I like to go for the TAA anti-aliasing option and 16x texture filtering. On the Advanced Options detail screen, set texture quality to Ultra, shadow quality to Medium, shadow distance to Medium, decal quantity to Medium, and lighting quality to Medium. You can set Godrays quality and Depth of Field quality to low, but we'll override both of those anyway with INI edits. We'll get to Depth of Field in a second. Ambient occlusion is nice, but in the most demanding areas, we won't keep above 30 FPS if we enable it. The only checkbox I've ticked is lens flare, because that comes at basically no impact on performance. Next up, view distance. I set all fade options to about 50% except for grass fade, which I set to about a third. I went for ultra on distant object detail and object detail fade. Alright, we're almost there guys. We just have to turn off depth of field in the INI file. Don't open the graphics menu again after editing the file, as that will reset the value. In the Fallout 4 prefs.ini file, locate the line with the parameter do depth of field equals 1. Change the 1 to a 0. Save and exit the editor. Now you're all set. I've tested these settings in various locations. In the most demanding spots, we see our frame rate drop into the low 30s, and it's possible to get it to drop to like 29 if you angle the camera just right in those spots. But you almost have to do it on purpose. On the other hand, in less demanding areas, we see the frame rate climb all the way up into the 50s. Keen-eyed among you may already have spotted that I ran 3600 MB RAM and no overclock on the Vega 7 GPU. If you run a bit slow RAM, you could back off the view distance by a tick or two, or just accept the occasional dip below 30 in the more demanding areas. If you have faster RAM and or an overclock on your Vega 7 or a 5700G, you get to enjoy a better frame rate. But you could also increase one of the settings. I'd look towards high shadow distance or ambient occlusion. On the other hand, if you have a less powerful APU, like a 3000 or 2000G series, I think the best option would be to drop the resolution to 900p. A 3400G or a 4000G series with fast RAM might suffice for 1080p running the optimized settings if you dial it back a bit more on the view distance sliders. At this point, I'd like to unexpectedly give credit to Nvidia for creating an extremely in-depth article on the performance impact of every setting in Fallout 4. This saved me some time in an already lengthy, in-depth investigation. Credit where credit is due. Link in the description. I hope you enjoyed this and you'll enjoy playing Fallout 4. I have to get back to making my RAM and Vega scaling video, which turned out to be a lot more work than I expected, and I expected it to be a ton of work. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully the scaling one. Have a good day.